G'day folks, and welcome to this playthrough of Fields of Fire. This is Volume 1, the second edition, published in 2017, and this is Mission 2, the Cerisy offensive from the 11th to the 19th of June 1944. Now, following on from my first mission, some of my units gained a little bit of experience, not a lot. I've focused on improving the quality of my command, because a lot of my platoon commanders, let me kind of zoom down a bit, pan down a bit and show you what's going on. A lot of my platoon commanders start off green. And so I spent the bulk of my experience upgrading them to line quality troops. That'll help with a few various things throughout the game. Now, for those of you not familiar with Fields of Fire, you command a rifle company. There are 3 campaigns. This is the Normandy campaign, Normandy 1944. There's also 2 campaigns in Korea and 1 campaign in Vietnam. And each campaign features units specific to those campaigns, including both friendly American units and enemy units. So in this case, I'll be encountering German units. I can look over the potential contacts for this mission and kind of get a sense of what I'll be encountering. So maybe there's a lot of machine gun nests there. You can see potential contact A, B, and C. I'll explain those in a moment. There are defensive positions, strong points, various things that I'll encounter. I control basically what you see here. I have got my company. I've got my company headquarters down here right in the center. I'll explain my tactics in a moment, but let me point out first what I'm doing here. My company HQ, my XO, and my first sergeant. And they will all sort of be the center of my command. I've then got on the left here, first platoon. So I've got the first, and they're divided into 3 squads. I also have a light machine gun team and an anti-tank team. I also have here my mortar forward observer, and they've been equipped with a rifle grenade. In the center here, second platoon. Again, with a light machine gun, rifle grenade, anti-tank gun. I've got a Jeep as well, which I really don't know what to do with. Out on the right, I've got third platoon. And HQ, first, second, third squad, similar equipment, but they've been equipped with the heavy machine gun for reasons which I'll explain in a moment. We also have a mortar section out here on the right and artillery forward observer. Now, this a large part of the fun of this game is in the planning. And I'm planning for an offensive through this terrain. So the scenario instructs me to set up 4x5 grid like this. Basically, you get the terrain cards, you draw them out one at a time. Whenever you draw a hill, you place another card on top. And I've been lucky to draw 2 hills, one here and an objective way up there. This is also good for reasons which I'll explain in a moment. I can then look at the terrain. I get to place my objectives, and I've placed them up on these 2 cards way up the top there. The reason I've done that is 2 reasons. They are good defendable positions. So once I capture them, I can easily defend them. They're in front of the farm over here, and this is my attack position. Simon's describing this as a game with rules best described as a diamond hidden in the rough. Yeah, well, my history here is I bought this game when it first came out. First edition back in 2009 it was for me, and could not wade through the original rulebook, and so I gave up. And back then there weren't many resources, there weren't many YouTube videos, the forums weren't very active, and so I sold it. And I recently reacquired this early this year, and I'm making a second attempt to learn it and play through it. I finished the first mission, now I'm on to the second. So my objectives up there are, I've picked them out because of the terrain in front of them, so I can, and basically the avenues of approach. Yeah, I heard the rules are being redone. I've been reading a lot of the errata and the clarifications and all that. So yeah, avenues of approach. I'm planning to approach down through here. There's open fields here, there's a gully here, orchards, groves. They're not great for moving through. Over on the left though, I've got hedgerow bocage, a farm, a hill here with more bocage, hedgerows here. So I can use this covering terrain to move 2 platoons through these 2 columns rather. I'll then use 3rd platoon out on the right here to basically protect my flank. They're going to move probably more carefully. They're probably going to suffer more casualties, which is why I've given them the mortar section, the heavy machine gun, and the artillery forward observer. So they've been equipped with the 3 kind of big guns in effect. I also plan to send the 1st sergeant out here as well, and he'll help them with command. He'll offer just a little bit more command for these guys. And I'll explain how all this works in just a moment. What else do I have to consider? Okay, so the hills here. So there's line of sight. Line of sight is usually very basic. Usually, in most circumstances, you can see into the adjacent card. So for example, if I have a platoon here, they can see into all these adjacent cards, no further. They can't see this unit here, can't see through the woods to the hedgerow, because a dark border is blocking terrain. Doesn't matter what you can see out of, but if you cross this dark border on an incoming card, yeah, it's blocked. However, if you're on a hill, you can see over blocking terrain. And this is really deadly. There's a lot of sort of clear lines of sight through here. So, being on this hill and being able to bring basically my commanding officer, the headquarters, company headquarters, onto this hill gives him good line of sight around and helps him issue orders. I can also bring my maybe artillery forward observer here, and they'll be able to see all the way to that, I'm sorry, that's off camera. They'll be able to see all the way through to that objective down the end there. Yeah. So, I'm going to get things started, and I'll kind of run through how things work. Typically, at the start of a turn, I'll run through the sequence of play. The very first thing we do is a headquarter event check, but we skip this on the first turn. Then we do the friendly command phase. The way this works is there's no battalion HQ on the map. We just have my company HQ, and they have with them a radio. This is over on the command display. And this puts them in communication with Battalion HQ. And because they're in communication with Battalion HQ, because they're holding that radio, they are in command and they draw a card. And this will tell them how many command points they get. This is a pretty good draw. They get 4. Now, if they were out of battalion command, if they didn't have that radio with them, they would only get 2. Okay, so what I do is on this command display over on the left here, this shows all the smoke and stuff that I've got. I'll kind of talk about that later on. It's not really important for now, but I record. In fact, I haven't updated this since I finished the last game. So I've still got some commands available for various platoons. But basically I move up my company HQ to 4 commands. And I can put that in the discard pile. Now that I have these 4 commands, company HQ, they can then spend their commands to do various things. They could, if they wanted to, start moving around. They're in command, so anybody who they have a radio to, hey Joffrey, anybody who they have a radio to, they can talk to and they can order them to do certain things. There are visual verbal commands in their area, so they can issue commands to units in this hex. But most importantly for the company HQ, because they're in command here, they want to activate their subordinate platoon HQs. Now there are 3 platoons in this game, and there are 3, it's hidden, but let me reveal these guys, put them on top. They have a special skill point, which they can use later on, that's why that's there. Their 2nd platoon and 3rd platoon out on the right. What I want to do, the very first thing I want to do in starting is activate those platoons. And this is basically using what's called a command and control action. You can see they activate a subordinate HQ or staff. It costs 1, it's automatic. The originator is any HQ or staff. The recipient is any subordinate staff, blah, 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 blah. Basically, I'm spending 1, 2, 3 command points. Let me show you the command display. Three command points to activate these 3 platoons. 1, 2, 3. Sorry, they're a bit shaky. Okay, so that means that they, get my camera stand ready, there we go. They've been activated. What does that mean? Well, the next step in the sequence of play is to have the platoon HQ and staff impulse. This is where platoons get to act. Now, if they weren't activated, once again, they draw one of these cards. This is one I just drew. And if they were activated, they get to use the stronger number. If they were not activated, they can use their initiative to use the lower number. So it's far better for these platoons to use a high number because it's within these platoons that I'll be doing the bulk of my activities. So let's start with first platoon. I draw a card for first platoon. It's another 4. Because they were activated, they get 4 actions. And on the command display, I just move first platoon up to 4 actions. Incidentally, sorry, I should have pointed out, my company HQ had 4 actions. They spent 3 to activate each of the commands. They had 1 left over. They're going to save that action for later. You can consider it an emergency action for later. Maybe next turn they won't draw as much. They can use that action next turn. It's saving it for a rainy day. So first platoon has 4 commands. I'll do the same for, now this is where I think so for each platoon, I draw an action card for it, expend their commands. I must finish spending commands from one platoon HQ before spending commands from another such unit. So I've got to finish spending commands from one platoon before expending commands, but I think I can still draw. So basically I draw for second platoon and see what they get, I think. And they draw a 2. So second platoon has 2 commands. They won't be as active. And third platoon out the right, they draw a 3, so they get 3 commands. All right, so I've got 4, 2, and 3 commands with these platoons. What am I going to do? Okay, well, I showed you some of the command tables, but I'll just open up. These are on the left, the movement actions, on the right, the rally actions. If I flip the page, there are additional combat actions, which go on quite lengthily. Very many different types of actions that you can do throughout this game. And they include things like picking up wounded soldiers, attempting to infiltrate from one space to another. You can attempt to fire, make a grenade attack. You can attempt to place demolition charge, make a flamethrower track, all these type of things. The fundamental, getting started, things work out pretty nicely. I could, if I wanted to, and I've seen a lot of people do this in their playthrough videos, I could, with first platoon, spend 2 of my command points to move my entire platoon into this card. It is an automatic action. It'll cost 2 of my 4 points, and it's a cheap way to move the entire platoon forward. Just 2 actions, and that whole platoon will move forward. There's a problem with that though, because these are potential contacts. These are potential enemies, and I know by looking at the scenario instructions that some of these potential enemies are incoming artillery, mortars, and snipers, and machine gun nests. And if, on the slim chance, but if I run into an enemy on this card and I've just moved my entire platoon up, that entire platoon will be subject to that fire. If it's artillery fire, it's going to be pretty powerful and I'll suffer a lot of casualties. So let me show you what I'm going to do instead. My first action is going to be what's called, and I'll get this correct, I think it's called detaching a team. It costs me 1 action. So on the command display, over on my left, I'm moving down 1 point. I'm going to say to first platoon, squad here, I'm going to say to this squad, hey, can you guys detach an assault team. So you'll notice the little dots at the bottom of this counter indicate how many steps they have. This is a 3-step squad. I'm reducing them by 1 step and creating an assault team from that step. I still have 3 steps there, but they're now divided into a reduced strength squad and my assault team. That's my first action. Now, why is this a good idea? Well, now my second action, I'm going to order from my platoon HQ this assault team to move. Now, there are 2 types of moves you can do. You can do a regular move, and when that unit moves, they become exposed and more vulnerable to enemy fire. Or they can attempt to infiltrate into this card. It still costs the 1 point. They do a card draw, and they need to find the infiltration marker. But, well, there's a reason I'm not doing that. And what is the reason? I don't know. Attempt to infiltrate. Moving costs 1. I guess I may as well attempt to infiltrate. I'm just double checking this. So I make a 2-card draw to attempt this. This is not automatic. Detaching the unit is automatic. I'm just trying to differentiate between moving and infiltrating. Moving will just move me up and I'll become exposed. Infiltrating, it's a good order unit. It applies to a limited, this is basically called a limited action team, and they're restricted in what they can do. But, and I was just checking the chart, limited action teams can infiltrate, I'm pretty sure. I just saw it on the summary sheet. I'm pretty sure they can do that as well. I'm going to double check the rulebook. Limited action teams. Steve's saying you can only infiltrate into a known in a position. Either the oranging card must have a volume. Yeah, okay. So it must have a VOF marker. That's why I'm not doing it. So I just do a regular move. It costs me 1 action, and I place the exposed marker on there. This will now, this team has moved forward. They've occupied the card. They'll reveal this contact later on. We'll figure out if it's an enemy or not. If it's safe, we can then move the rest of the platoon forward. For now, though, I've only exposed the 1 step. They're now out of command. My platoon leader can kind of see them, but can't issue commands to them. They're too far away to issue commands, so they can't do anything else for now. I'll come back to that in just a moment. First platoon is pretty much done. There's nothing else they want to do for now. They have 2 commands left. They can save them for later. Second platoon, they have 2 commands. They're going to do exactly the same thing. We create a fire team. Sorry, not a fire team, an assault team. With our first action, and with our second action, we order them to move in. Just like that, and that's second platoon's 2 actions done. Third platoon, over on the right. They are going to do pretty much the same thing. They create an assault team and they move it in for 2 actions. 1, 2, and we'll take that from their first squad. Now, third platoon has this task of also clearing the right-hand row. So, if I can show you the map again, first platoon will be travelling down here, second platoon travelling down here, third platoon will be sending a squad off to their right as well and moving down here. And as I said, they're going to use the first sergeant from the company to help them with this kind of increased complexity of commands. The first sergeant won't get a lot of command points, but it'll be just enough to help that platoon move forward a little bit, because they'll need to clear both of these. And yeah, as I said, this could be dangerous terrain. So they've been equipped with that 50 cal machine gun, the mortar section. I say they've been equipped, I mean, the mortar section is here, but it can pretty much fire anyway. It's pretty good. And the artillery forward observer just so you can observe that little bit more out on the right in case his line of sight is blocked out on the left. So 2 actions, 2 actions, 2 actions. That's pretty much it for my 3 platoons. Their actions are completed. We have second platoon with no actions left, third with 1 left, saving for next turn, and first platoon with 2 actions left. I'll also point out, for now, we have a current activity level of no contact. Okay, that's our platoon impulse. We then have our company staff impulse. If not activated earlier, each of our company staff members, the XO and the first sergeant, get 1 command each. And as I said, they're going to save that. I've marked it on the command display. These guys are going to save that up. I've got the first sergeant here and the XO here. As I said, the first sergeant will eventually be moving to the right here to help third platoon with their more difficult advance. We then move to the general impulse, general initiative impulse. This is where I once again draw a card. Oh, it's beautiful. It's a 5. This is general impulse, general initiative. So basically what this means is I ignore the top number. I look at the bottom here, 4. I get 4 initiative points, and I might track them for now with my little casualty markers to do whatever I want. Any units can basically use their initiative. They don't need to be in command. And there's a couple of things I'd really like to do. I should also point out, my apologies, that these guys are exposed. So they've moved, they're exposed. They've moved, they're exposed. Okay, so I get 4 actions to spend, and they don't need to be in command. What I want to do is try to find some cover with these guys. So my first platoon assault team, it's not technically attached to the first platoon anymore, both physically and administratively. They're kind of just an independent assault platoon. They've moved into the woods. The woods has a couple of bits of information. First of all, these numbers up in the top left show the cover, the intrinsic cover. So any fire coming into this hex will be reduced by 2. Positive numbers are beneficial to the defender. Negative numbers, such as exposed, is beneficial to the attacker. So as a defender, I want to reduce my cover, I want to increase my cover as much as possible. Having positive numbers, negative numbers are bad. So the +2 is good. It kind of cancels out my exposed. I do have an incoming fire modifier, so any incoming mortar artillery will be in effect increased in strength by 1. This just means no tanks are allowed. I don't think there'll be any tanks here. I can't see any on the potential contacts list, fingers crossed. Okay, what do these things down the bottom here mean? The first number is the number of additional cover markers we might locate in the woods. So the 3 here means maybe there'll be 3 additional cover markers. Cover markers look a bit like this. When they're in wooded terrain, you'll see that that symbol matches. When they're in urban terrain, they look a bit like that. We've got lots of wooded terrain along here, so we'll mainly be using that +1 cover marker. The 4 means how many cards they draw to look for cover. It's kind of an indication of how easy it is to find cover. We're in a wooded area, so it's pretty easy to find cover in this area. In fact, across the hedgerow, the bocage, more woods, hedgerow, it's pretty easy to find cover, and there's a lot of cover across these 4 cards. I got pretty lucky there. I'm hoping this will be a nice, easy advance into this first row of cards. So my first action in this general impulse is going to be to search for cover. It's an action to search for cover. It is not automatic. What I do is I draw 4 cards, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm looking for the word cover. No, 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 boom. Got it on the last one. I found cover. What does this mean? It means I can place my unit under cover. I believe it is as simple as that. They are still marked as exposed. This reflects their movement to the woods, and then they've found cover. So it's kind of the cumulative effect of that, that period of movement and seeking cover. That's pretty good. We've already found cover on our first card. That's really nice. Second action will be over here. And once again, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm looking for cover. Rally, nothing, nothing, nothing. So there's no cover. So they're exposed. Over here on the right, again, 1, 2, 3, 4, because there's a 4 here. I'm looking for cover. Ooh, there we go. Third card has cover up the top. So I find my second piece of cover. This is very interesting. It's working out exactly the way my first mission went. I found cover, no cover, cover, and incidentally, this is where I found a mortar on my middle contact. So that's 1, 2, 3 of those 4 actions. I have 1 action left, and I'm thinking to myself, well, I may as well. I've got 1 action left. I'm wondering if I spend the opportunity to detach another assault team. Just to use that point, save it being wasted, because as I said, I'm going to scout it to the right as well. Yes, I already have an assault team here, but they're going to plan to move forward. So my 3 existing assault teams will advance forward, and I'll send 1 team out to the right out here to explore this hedgerow. That is my general initiative impulse, and that's pretty much the end of my first turn. That's I've to recap, Company HQ drew command, they drew 4. I activated my 3 platoon HQs and I saved 1 point. First platoon drew a card, they drew 4 actions. They spent 2 of those to detach a team, send it forward, saved 2. Second platoon only drew a 2 command point card. They detached a team, sent it forward. Third platoon drew 3, detached a team, sent it forward, saving 1. I then had the general initiative impulse phase. I drew a really good card, 5, which actually was 4 for initiative. I spent 1, 2, 3 actions to search for cover, and I detached another assault team for 4. You can do some really creative things in this general impulse. Unfortunately, at the start of the game, there's not a lot I can really do, so I may as well get a bit of a head start on creating that assault team. We then move to the enemy activity phase. They would normally draw a card to see if it's an event, and incidentally, the card on top here, I'll point that out. This is the symbol that I'm looking for an event. If I ever draw a card for an event and I see that, an event will happen. My events are good, enemy events are usually bad. Okay, I then do an enemy activity check segment. For every enemy unit on the map, I basically check to see what they do. Now let me explain here how random things, actually no, I'll hold that over, but basically, yeah, if there were enemy units, they'd follow kind of a bit of a very simple little flow chart. It's around here somewhere to determine kind of what they do. It's pretty intuitive. They want to attack me, so often they'll just shoot at me or do what's most convenient to hurt my units. We then have a capture and retreat phase. I can capture enemy forces if they're with me and vulnerable. I'll kind of skip over that because it doesn't happen very often. There's a vehicle aircraft phase. There are no vehicles in these early scenarios, which is really nice. We then get to the mutual combat phase. The first thing I do is remove any existing incoming markers placed during the last turn. Now there are no incoming markers, so I don't have to worry about that. The next thing I do is check my potential contacts. Now sometimes these will be unknown. The first thing we do is flip them all to their their lettered side, so we know what type of contacts we're dealing with. We then evaluate these contacts. Now, the way this works is, whenever you have a choice of sort of enemy actions to resolve, you do it randomly. You may have noticed, and I'll bring this card up again, at the bottom of this card is a list of numbers. These give you a random number generator based on how many choices you have. So if you wanted, give me basically a D6 roll, you look at 6 and the number is 4. What this means is if you've got a choice of 6 enemy units to select, this will tell you to pick the 4th one. If you have a choice of 10 units to select, this will tell you to pick the 7th one. Sorry about the focus. If it's a choice of just 2 units, this 2 will tell you pick the second one. So what I do here is I've got 3 potential contacts, 1, 2, and 3. So I have a choice of 3 to resolve first, and the order is important. So I draw a card, and I'm looking at the number below 3. It's 3. You see that? 3, 3. So I resolve the third one here. This is the potential contact that I'm going to resolve first. Now, to resolve a potential contact, I look at this draw chart. I'm currently at no contact. So it's a C marker. So I draw 4 cards, and all I'm doing is looking, this card has it as well, this is the last card I drew, looking for that contact word. In fact, specifically, I'm hoping not to find that word because I don't want to have any contacts. I'd love to have just a nice, easy opening. Cover, rally, cover, good, great. No contact, that's simply removed. Easy as that. So basically what's happened is, 3rd platoon detached an assault team. They advanced forward. They found cover. They're under cover and they found no contact. This is a really good start for 3rd platoon, particularly given they've got probably the most difficult task out here on the right. We now have a choice of 2 contacts, 1 and 2. So again, I draw a card, I look at 2, and tells me to resolve the second one. So this is our next potential contact. Once again, we're drawing 4 cards. Nothing has changed in my contact status. And contact. This is turning out exactly the way my last game turned out. This is where the contact was. It doesn't matter how many contacts. Oh, actually, there should be a reshuffle. So whenever you draw the reshuffle card, you draw another card. Okay, this tells me to reshuffle the action deck after this action is complete. Okay, so we have a contact on this middle card. 2nd platoon, they're infamous for running into contacts based on my one mission with these guys so far. While I'm shuffling the deck, I'll also point out that when you draw for commands, there are modifiers to these command draws. So let me point this out. I forgot to cover this earlier. Headquarters staff is green, veteran, undercover. In fact, they should have got an extra point because I kind of skimmed over this, but I have... Oh, no, I didn't. Sorry, they're line. So my company HQ is line, so no modifiers. The current activity, though, was no contact. So they should have got +1. So I'll give them 1 extra command to save up. My platoons now are also line. You begin the first scenario with green platoons. They suffer a -1 modifier, modified by +1 to make it basically whatever you draw. But now they're not green, they're line. So they'll also get +1 command as well because they increase their experience. I will adjust that now. Whilst you have no contact, any HQ command card draws you make have a +1 modifier. You can see that bottom modifier down the bottom there. There are negative modifiers if they have volume of fire on them, but yeah, that's not happening. Okay, so I've encountered a contact. This is scary. Okay, I now look at potential contact C, and I have a choice of 10. So of course, I draw a card, I look at 10, and I see the number 9 down here. Number 9 is an enemy patrol, number 14, okay? 10 choices, choice of 10, it gives me 9. 9 out of 10 is basically German, what's it called? Sorry, German force package number 14. What does this mean? Well, if I can pan up the camera, I look at the German force packages, I look at 14 patrol, and this is what I'm encountering. I'm encountering basically a German squad, asterisk, with an exposed marker. Okay, at least they're exposed, that's good. And they're right in the middle of all my patrols. Okay, now it says place volume of fire marker. No. Units are spotted, yes. Okay, let's find, I need to go through and actually find this German squad in my massive pile of counters. Here we go. I think this is, let me double check. There are two types of German squads, SL and AL. At the start of missions 1, 6 and 7, place all those squads in a cup. When one is called for missions 2 and 5, use only the AL squads. Okay, so it's an automatic. Here we go, AL. This is the German squad we're looking at. Where are they? Here. And they're out on patrol. They've been moving around and they are exposed. There we go. So this is me, my assault team. This is this enemy squad with automatic weapons that I have run into. So I've placed that squad exposed marker. They are spotted, yes. Right, so if they're not spotted, basically I put this potential contact on them and I can't shoot them yet. Now, that is resolved. I can go over there. This is where things get interesting. Now it says place, volume of fire, primary direction of fire. Okay, so they're not firing at me yet, I think. They don't necessarily go on that card. I have to draw, of course, for placement. And there's a unit placement table. A little bit there. Here we go. And again, another choice of 10. They are placed 5 front at maximum line of sight. So they're placed in front of that unit, not actually on them, but in front of them at maximum line of sight. So these guys won't actually shoot at them. There are no heavy weapons fire. They can see them though. And yeah, they can see them. And I think they'll see them. Yeah, I'll get to that in a moment. So yes, front at max line of sight. This is max line of sight. You know, in fact, because they're on a hill, I reckon these guys can see them as well. But they won't shoot through. Oh, this is where it gets a bit complex. I haven't dealt with this before. They can see them on the hill, and some weapon types can shoot. The mortars can shoot and will shoot, I believe, over friendly units. This is really stretching my grasp of the different weapon types. So tripod-mounted machine guns and heavy weapons may fire over the heads of intervening friendly troops. Machine guns and other units with a heavy weapons volume of fire can fire over a friendly unit that is at least one level lower. Don't place a volume of fire marker on the unit being fired over. So basically my light machine gun here, does that count as a tripod mounted machine gun? Is an LMG a tripod? I think it's got to count, right? Actually, there's a summary. Here we go. There's a list of... Okay, there's bipod and tripod. So no, it's not tripod mounted. My bad. So they'll place a PDF. Yeah, thanks, Blue. They will place their PDF after the fire segment, so I get the jump on them. They don't get to shoot at me. That shouldn't be there. And my LMG is not tripod mounted. Okay, so tripod needs an arrow symbol, such as this heavy machine gun here. So if I could move them across to here, they would be able to shoot. Unfortunately not. Okay, And yeah, my mortar team here is too far away. I could actually call them in. That's a whole different process, which I won't get into. So let me kind of give you a view of what we're looking at. This is the width of the field. We've encountered this patrol here, they're exposed. I've placed them correctly and we're directing this fire. Last potential contact here. We now have contact. So I upgrade the activity to contact. And this changes the number of cards that I draw. So now, contact with level C, I only draw 3 cards instead of 4. 1, 2, 3, no contact, no contact, no contact. Hey, excellent. So, no contact. That's good. A nice start. We've secured the first 3 cards in our advance. By the end of the first turn, we've surprised a German patrol. I should point out the type of fire we're looking at here. They are A. You notice this assault team here with A. They're using automatic weapons into this space. I put my markers at the top. I'll place German markers down the bottom, so I'm directing the fire at them. They're exposed. I can see them. It's looking pretty good. They don't have the range to attack the light machine gun team. I didn't realise they had a range. Assault team combat. Limited to point blank. Thank you. I did not know that. That's summarised on the LAT limitations chart. Thanks, Blue. So I can't shoot at them. No volume of fire. And a pretty cautious approach. So I need to get in there into point blank range, basically, which is on their card. So looking now at combat effects, there's no volume of fire. So there's no contact just yet, actually, which means that I should draw 1 more card. Luckily, it's not a contact for this contact out on the left. Okay, so there's no... Yep, no volumes of fire, no fire at all just yet. Cleanup phase, I then remove the exposed markers, including the Germans. At this point, I evacuate casualties, and it's the end of the first turn. I move on to turn 2, and now I get to draw a friendly action card. Again, I'm looking for that headquarters symbol, no HQ symbol. I can move on to my friendly command phase. So again, a reminder, sorry, that should be no contact. So my understanding is the Germans, they don't automatically engage. They'll start shooting if determined by their enemy activity check segment. There's a very important paragraph, 9.4. Or do they? Will the enemy automatically engage me? Okay, so it will open fire. So I've got a choice of 1, 2, or 3. Let's hope they pick 1 or 3. So I look at number 3, and of course they pick the more vulnerable unit in the center here. Okay, so they are shooting at them. They have automatic weapons, so they are targeting my assault team with their automatic weapons. Okay. So, turn 2. I kind of want to get this team up into here. So, my company HQ drawing for commands, they draw a nice big 4 again. And now I remember that they, well actually now, I've got to update this again. We have, what's the status? 1 friendly unit is under a volume of fire marker. We have contact. We become engaged when we have 2 or more friendly units under those markers. and heavily engaged when that happens, and at least one card has both enemy and friendly units on it. Okay, so 4 commands for our company HQ. They are going to activate first, second, and third platoon again. Oh, sorry. Yep. 1, 2, 3. They no longer have that no contact, so they don't get the +1 modifier, so it's just the base 4. It is 3 commands to activate those 3 platoons, and I think we'll save the rest. In terms of those platoons, how many commands do they get? First platoon out here on the left only gets 2. 1, 2. Lucky they saved a few last turn, so they don't have 5. Second platoon will get 3. And third platoon will get a nice big 5. Again, great for them, because they're going to need a lot of actions out on the right. Okay, so how do we get this done? Now that I know that these 2 spaces are relatively safe, I feel okay moving first platoon up and second platoon up. So, first platoon first. They're going to spend 2 actions, 1, 2 over my command display, to do a platoon move. I move the entire platoon and their attached teams into that area. Okay, 2 actions for them. Now they're with this assault team. Actually, sorry, when they move, they can also move under. Oh, sorry, they should be exposed. So a lot of things to do here. The platoon all moving together. They're all marked exposed, and when they move onto an area with cover, they can all move under that cover. Don't worry, there are limits to the benefits of this cover. So for every, every step above a certain number, I can't recall exactly, but the reason I'm doing that is because for my platoon to issue visual verbal commands to units in that space, they either have to be under the same cover or neither unit is under cover. So by having them all on the same cover, what this means is now my next action for first platoon is to order my assault team here and it's kind of tempting to order them to engage the platoon. The enemy squad. I think it'd be good to because I might keep this assault team here. Difficult choice to make. I can either keep moving forward and scout at this area, or directly, incidentally, I'll place PDF fires. So primary direction, and I've got my automatic LMG. So there is now automatic weapons being shot at those guys. So maybe I don't need to. Maybe I'll just send my assault team up there and I'll keep scouting further to the north. Or up, rather. Yeah, okay, so they have moved up. They're going to figure out what this potential contact is, hopefully nothing. So blue's saying, good idea, draw fire away from the hedgerow and also tossing a grenade in on general initiative. So you're suggesting I should move into here. Oh, okay. Because, that's right, because if, but I could, I'm thinking I'll spend general impulse to move these guys up. So what's going to happen is, let me just, so that's, first platoon is pretty much done. They still have 2 actions left, but they're not going to do anything. Let me summarize what the Germans are going to do. So basically on the mission details, we get, this is the sort of enemy page. It tells us if I have a spare flare, signal ceasefire. Why is that? Don't want to kill these guys. Is that too much, too many weapons? So they have defensive hierarchy, hasty tactics. What that means is, I look on the German defensive activity hierarchy and I look at hasty tactics. If they're on the same card as a US unit and not undercover, which is basically what they'll be, they'll make a random draw and they'll do one of these things. They'll try to find cover, fall back, or attempt to make a grenade attack. We don't quite know what they're going to do. It'll be one of those if I have a US unit there. If I don't have a US unit, they are an A unit. They're under fire, but they're not under cover. They'll try to do one of these actions. Pretty similar. Seek cover, fall back, grenade attack. So I move the assault team over to here. So if so my assault, if I move my assault team in, they'll also be subject to that fire. Well, maybe I just, geez, I don't know. So maybe I leave this assault team here for now, or use general initiative to send them to the right, and I can send this assault team out to the right as well. So I might save these guys for general initiative, and I'll see if my automatic weapons can deal with these guys. I might move my mortars up. That'll then bring heavy weapons fire onto here. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. So second platoon, I don't want to move with them at all. Okay, they're down here. If I move second platoon up, they'll be subject to this automatic weapons fire from the German squad. So I don't want to do that. It's not a safe place to be. It's under fire. So we'll hold second platoon here, and they're saving their 3 commands. That's probably good for them. Save up for the future. Third platoon, however, they've got 7 actions. So our first 2. You see, I moved my assault team sideways. I'm not sure what you mean. So these guys came from here, and they moved up into that hex, that card. This assault team is not moving. They're just going to draw the fire of this this enemy squad. Yeah, maybe they'll do something in the general impulse. This team hasn't moved yet, so I'm now looking at third platoon. I'm going to spend 2 actions on third platoon to have them do a... Sorry, before I do that, they're going to spend 1 action to send this assault team over to the right. So they are now exposed. Yeah, I was contemplating doing it, but decided against it. So 1 action to send this team over here, and then 2 additional actions, 1, 2, to move these guys all forward. Big squad, big area to cover. Now that they're in this area, they can spend another action. Sorry, they'll get under the cover, everyone under the cover together. And they're all exposed as well. they are all exposed, they'll spend another action to send that assault team, who they can talk to under this cover, forward, into this area. So across there, it is blockage. Okay, so one more action to that. So they've done 1, 2, 3, 4. They're now down to 3 commands. But you know what? Now they're also opening fire. And now we've got heavy weapons fire from the mortar section doing direct lay fire, which should really hurt that squad. So maybe I should have, I think this is what Blue was pointing at earlier, maybe I should have anticipated that and done issued the ceasefire smoke with first platoon. Unfortunately, once I've done with those guys, I don't think I can come back to them. For each platoon, blah, 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 you may expend a platoon headquarter command only on units that belong to or attached. You must finish spending commands from one platoon HQ before spending commands on another. So this is interesting. So it says you must finish spending commands from one platoon HQ before spending commands for another. Does that mean, though, that I must basically finish a command and complete it, then I can go to the third? Can I then return back to the first? Or not? Do I basically do the platoons one at a time? I think it means I do them one at a time, but I'd be keen to know about that. Okay, so first, second, third. Third still has actions left. 2 actions, in fact. Yeah, one at a time. That's how I've been playing it. I just had a bit of brief moment of hope there that I could come back to first. So pouring fire in here. Automatic weapons team can't see anything. What else? What else can I do? I may as well save third platoon's actions. So I've got 3 actions here. Nice block of command saved up. Doing pretty well. So first platoon has saved 2, third has saved 3, second platoon has saved 4, because that is the maximum that a line unit can save. A maximum line save day. Oh no, they can save up to 6. Okay, so that's first, second and third done. Once again, my first sergeant and my XO accumulate a command each, and now I'm going to spend 1 command with my... I could order concentrate fire. Thanks, Blue. So this is something I haven't used before. So Blue is pointing out that with my third platoon, I can attempt to have a platoon concentrate fire. Cost me 2 actions, and all good units, all good order units. Sorry, platoon headquarters is a source. Target units in that platoon. I'll read it out rather than trying to get through the focus. I draw 2 action cards and look for the crosshairs action. If successful, I place the concentrated fire marker. And this is basically, there it is, it'd be another -1 modifier. What worries me is the cost of that action. It costs 2 command points. And this is going to be my busiest squad, platoon. It'd be nice to get that +1, but it's a risk. It's not guaranteed. And I think I want to save the command for now, because they've got a lot of work to do out here on the right. Okay, so First sergeant is actually going to spend an action to come and join these guys undercover, exposed as well. There is a stacking limit of 16 steps. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I'm good. Blue's pointing out I've got another -1 from crossfire. Another rule. So this is rules that I just haven't encountered. Yeah, just the way my first mission unfolded. So crossfire. Place the crossfire marker. I need to find it first. Place the crossfire marker on a card when there are 2 or more PDFs directed at it. So 1, 2, these guys are subject to crossfire. It is cumulative with other markers, place no more than 1. Yeah. I feel it's risky moving these whole platoons forward. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Too late now. But you know what? I'll take Blue's advice and I'll spend the 2 commands to do a concentrated fire action. So I'm attempting to concentrate fire. Oh, it only costs 1, not 2. My apologies. That's not too bad. So I draw action cards, 2 action cards, and I look for the crosshairs icon. So 1, 2, hey, crosshairs icon. So now I get concentrated fire on these Germans. Thanks, Blue. Place a marker. If a unit tracks ammo, it expends 2 instead of 1 ammo. So I'm burning through a lot of ammo, but yeah. So basically, I do have a sheet to track all these things, but I've lost my pencil. Oh, here it is. So I now need to basically mark that ammo that I've spent from 3rd platoon. They're spending a lot of ammo because all their guns are basically firing. So it's an expensive fire. So let's hopefully do some decent damage here. Okay, so 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 1st sergeant moved up into here to help with those commands. That's the end. We now do general impulse, general initiative impulse, reshuffle deck, and a 2. So I get 2 actions to spend however I want. Yeah, nice. So -5 plus 1, that'll be maximum effect. That's got to be a hit, right? Okay, shuffling the deck. 2 actions to spend. What do I do? Okay, try and find cover, Maybe they should be exposed. I always forget that. They moved, so they're exposed. Also got these guys down here. 2 actions. Who wants the cover? Maybe these guys. So we'll draw cover for these. Drawing 4 cards, hoping to find that word cover on one of these. Hey, there we go, cover. So I find, and this is again sort of rural terrain, wherever my cover marker's gone. Incidentally, let me just show you the massive canners. This is my sorting system. So that's what you got to kind of sort through to find anything. They were organised. I did organise everything before I started playing, and then you just kind of, when you throw things around, they get messy. All right, and I think the next cover. See, okay, this is interesting. If I spend an action to move with this assault team up to here, I believe the primary direction of fire will follow them. So basically, although I can't cross, I don't think I can cross that diagonal because there's fire coming from that direction, and the assault team won't go charging. So let's just try and find cover, I guess, for these guys. Well, again, draw 4 cards. That's about the best you can draw, I think. 1, 2, there's rally again, and shuffle already. Okay, so I'm going to draw a 4th card. It's about to be shuffled anyway. But we draw some more cover out on the right in this bocage. Getting really lucky with cover. That's 4 out of 5. I've only missed 1. That feels better than average, I guess. But again, this is good coverage terrain. I'm drawing 4 cards per check. So there's a good chance of finding a cover card. All right, so yeah, that's my general initiative impulse. We now check to see if there's an enemy event. No, 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 good. We now do enemy activity check segment. So this is a game where I look at this card, I look at their hierarchy table, and they are on the defensive. So I look here. Now we check. There's not a US unit. We start at the top and we stop at the first one that applies. On the same card, no, they don't have those markers. They are not under fire. They are under fire, but not under cover. This is the first one that applies. And they're doing hasty tactics. So I look at these middle rows here. I have a choice of 5. So I resolve 5, 4, which will be fall back. Sorry for the glare, but there you go. Under fire, but not under cover. They're going to fall back. That sucks because I was just about to shoot them after all that fire that I poured into here. So move the unit 1 card away from US units to the card with the best cover. I believe that would have the best cover. Sorry. They're moving away. They realise how horrific the situation is here. That sucks. So I've brought my mortars. I've poured heavy weapons fire in here, crossfire. I've got my platoon HQ to concentrate fire, and the German squad has just kind of ran away. And you know what happens now? So that fire ends. They'll start shooting at these guys instead. That ends that volume of fire. But what happens to these guys is they keep shooting. So yeah, they keep shooting. I've still got a potential contact here. So I could issue smoke to get them to stop. Actually, I can issue a command to get them to stop, maybe. Ooh, that's going to cost a lot of ammo for nothing. So now we get to the enemy activity check. And we have 3 potential contacts to resolve. So 1, 2, 3. And we check the second one, which is here. Okay, we do have, I should update the volume of fire there as well. So we still have contact. Yep. So it is a C contact. And just to remind you of this card, C contact at contact is 3 cards. We are hoping not to draw the word, oh, there it is, contact. All right, we know we have contact on this card. What is it? Choice of 10. It is a C9. What is 9? Well, potential contact C9 is another enemy patrol. Bugger, because they're pretty strong and they're using automatic weapons and that hurts. All right, so there we go. Another German patrol. They don't go there though, of course. We have to draw for placement and they are going to want to go, again, choice of 10. They go in 2, which is per package placement table. What does that mean? Well, it means that we consult the player aid card, which I've put somewhere. Here it is. That German force package again. And under 14 for patrol, we place them at maximum line of sight. So when it's, so here, when it's a choice, you keep drawing, basically, until you get a specific location. So choice of 10 is 3, front at max line of sight. So basically this, they go right in front again. That's maximum line of sight, they can't see any further. So they go there, they're exposed, and they won't shoot this turn, but they will next turn, and that's resolved. Okay, so we're clearing the cards, we're moving things up, but we've encountered 2 German patrols, which is slowing us down as we try to get forward. We have 2 contacts left out here on the left, 1 and 2. Let's see which one. Choice of 2, we resolve the first one, which is this one out here on the left. We now have 2 contacts, and of course we should place, they're not shooting yet though, okay, and I can't shoot them because I can't see them. So we're still just a contact, not engaged. Yeah, there's only 1 friendly card under a volume of fire marker. This is not friendly occupied. So that means that we draw 3 cards. No contact. Excellent. That clears the path for first platoon to move up, which is good. Last contact to resolve is this one out here. Once again, 3 cards to draw. No contact. Good. With that done, we know, I know, that first row is clear, no Germans. Second row, still 2 potential contacts to go. We've cleared the flanks. Incidentally, Germans can appear on the left and right. This is the left boundary, this is my right boundary. But if the German, let's say that card said place the Germans to the right, we draw another card here and they go there. I can't move off that edge, but Germans can still shoot in from that edge. This is my movement boundary. It's not necessarily the terrain boundary. It can expand from here. Likewise to the front. Okay, so that is potential contact resolution. I I've evaluated contact markers. I now do combat effects, and there's only 1 to resolve. Nothing happens here. I'm shooting at this orchard, shooting the heck out of a lot of apples. Here though, the Germans have moved, they've seen me, and they're going to shoot at me. So let's look what they've got. Automatic weapons -1. My cover, oh, this is unfortunate. They're shooting me through right down the basically the road. You can see the illustration here. It's a good visual depiction as well, but it's reflected by the coverage around the card. You notice the white border here means that I don't get the superior benefit, I get the inferior benefit of +1. So basically that +1 and the -1 cancel out. I moved in here so I was exposed, but I found cover. So it's a net modifier of -1. What I do now is I draw a combat card and I look on the left-hand side for -1, pin. What that means is I place a pin marker above my unit. Shouldn't really affect them too much. Just means that they can't do a lot until they become unpinned. It's better than a hit, I'll say that much. I still have my team, they're pinned down, they're under cover. Yeah, it's just going to be a lot harder to get to that German squad now. I've still got these 2 potential contacts here to resolve. What else do we have? A lot of ammo being shot there, as I said, shooting up the apples, but nothing else happening. No other fire being resolved. We then, oh, of course, yeah. So So there's the exposed marker. It's the reverse of the pinned marker. Thanks, blue. End of the turn, we remove exposed markers and we update, of course, my primary direction of fire. So this German squad can also see my team out here. So you can see how they're shooting at me, but what they're really shooting at is just these one-step teams that, in the grand scheme of things, I'm okay sacrificing for this progress to expose these squads and their locations and so forth. I need to place an automatic weapons volume of fire. It's German volume of fire against me. And that's about it. So at the start of my turn, I can tell you I'm going to be ordering a ceasefire very rapidly. I need to exhaust my ammo from first platoon as well. I haven't done that yet, but I'll wrap this up here. That's first 2 turns done, about to head into the 3rd turn. I want to move second platoon. What I'll do, I'm not going to do it right now. Current activity to engaged, thanks blue, because I now have 2 friendly units under volumes of fire. This means that I'll draw fewer cards when doing these contacts, and for sea level contacts, I'll only draw 2 cards for each. So it's less likely there'll be a contact here, fingers crossed. I'm looking at this hill, and I'd love to get my my mortar on top of it, and maybe some more things on top of the hill as well. So maybe I'll shift, maybe 3rd platoon will shift out to the left, and 2nd platoon will come out to the right, just kind of like overlap each other a bit. Got a couple of assault teams. Oops, they should be moved as well. Keep in mind, they can move during the general initiative impulse. I don't have to, it's easy if I have a platoon headquarters with them to order them to move up. But if I get a good draw during that general initiative impulse, they can move of their own initiative. And all I'm hoping to do with these teams is get them forward. So this is the situation, yeah. Stopping here after 2 turns. 2nd platoon yet to get much off the starting line. This is where I've got to watch. So basically, they're all using telephones, and that requires line of sight. So I've got to watch my company headquarters down here as well, because they need to be able to see 1st platoon, 2nd platoon, 3rd platoon HQ, which means maybe I move these guys forward a bit. Yeah, if I move my company HQ here, they'll maintain those lines of sight. That's also, incidentally, where your XO and your 1st sergeant come in handy, because they also have telephones. And if they extend their movement beyond line of sight, they have to use their own initiative. They can't be activated by the company HQ. Oh, cover blocked line of sight. Okay, so they won't be, of course, yep. So they're in cover, so it blocks the use of their radios for both of these platoons. So they'll have to basically draw a card and use that lower number for initiative rather than being activated. What other considerations are there? I've got to re-engage these 2 squads. Currently, I'm not pouring any fire on those 2 German squads. This is a dangerous place to be. I would love to get that poor assault team out. This is a dangerous place to be with this fire. Look, there's open fields here. This is a dangerous place to be. That's probably the worst place the Germans could have moved to. I need to occupy the hill and then quickly direct some fire on that team. It may be worth calling in some of my off-map artillery to do so. I've got a couple of good resources for this scenario. If I can find my card. What have I got? I've got 15th Field Artillery Battalion, 81mm Battalion Mortars, and Regimental Cannon Company, all on hand to bring some fire. So I want to move into here. I want to keep, this is interesting, I want to keep this platoon shooting at this hex. So if I can keep these guys alive, that'd be great. Hedgerow on row 1. Can see 2 cards. To the machine gun. Oh, like that. Wow, I did not notice that. Thanks, Blue. All right, so Blue's pointing out that if I put a card here, I can fire diagonally through this open field into this squad. So this would be a good firing position as well, to engage this German squad. So maybe I sort of shift, maybe I'll shift a platoon up here, and maybe I'll shift second company up into here with their LMG to direct fire along here. And then I'd love to get the mortar, the heavy mortar, the mortar section to use their direct lay fire immediately, basically, to engage that. And whilst they're doing so, I'll call in some heavy artillery. I'll look at what my options are. But yeah, there you go, folks. Hopefully that's given you some sense of how this plays through. Again, huge shout out to Blue Tweezers for his many Fields of Fire playthrough videos. I also watched Dave's Gaming Cave and the Player's Aid guide, and Mike's counterattack videos. They're all really, really immensely valuable. I've said it before, but this game would barely be playable out of the box were it not for the many resources available, and those videos make it a lot easier to help. So again, thanks everyone, and take care.